Don't worry, not too much of this video left, but let's see what happens inside the bizarre place whereby men get manicures and their haircut at the same time.
$100 million a day. Double the avalanche of war materials to back up our men at the front and to keep our allies in there fighting. We've got to do a lot more on the engineering, planning, and testing we've been talking about. But the biggest part of that's already done. Production is rolling, and every day new production lines are swinging into action, making things faster, faster and better, producing more for victory. Thank you, Miss Clark. Bye, Bobby.
Bye.
Nice kid. His dad's a second lieutenant now. Oh, I hadn't heard Walt had his commission. Well, Sam, I won't be seeing you for a while.
No, sir, but it sounds like we're going to have plenty of that stuff we're going to need. I'm sure glad I heard you tell about that.
Good luck, Sam.
Thank you.
Bastard.
Eli's Barbershop. Hello? Oh, Maryville? Ain't you heard? It's all over town. You is talking to Private Samuel Wellington Williams. That's right.
Right. Thanks for persevering with that. A very interesting kind of program. But the key thing is, I think, to notice is how African Americans are starting to be included in the whole war plans. You can see that that film is indicating that they will have a key role to play in any kind of wartime issues that are happening. So therefore, basically that's the thing to, sorry, I'm slightly disorganized here. That's the thing to pay attention to in that, is in that film. And yes, we want to really talk about how African Americans are now part of the U.S. and are being understood in that sense. It's not, as I said before, just simply that not simply that that's when they emerged, when they actually moved up north, but it's much more about how there was a perception that they needed to be included in order to convince allies that the United States would be a good leader, and in the way that they needed to convince the world that the United States was reforming itself at home and capable of reform, and made a big difference between itself and some of the other colonial nations that it was attempting to usurp. One other thing I should speak about is the Double V for Victory campaign. It was an African American campaign during World War II. The civil rights leaders adopted it as their rallying cry. It demanded victory against fascism abroad, but very importantly against discrimination at home. And they exhorted black citizens to support the war effort and to fight for equal treatment and opportunity for African Americans everywhere. Although segregation was their main target, their campaign was directed against all forms of discrimination, especially in the armed forces. They flooded the services with appeals for redress of black grievances and levied similar demands in the White House, Congress, and courts. And as you can see, African Americans are sensitive to the fact that they were going to have some leverage with the United States government and with others who are involved in the war effort, and that they could take them at their words and force them to actually back up their talk of democracy and their talk of the fight against fascism with determination to treat African Americans equally at home. And of course, as the Double V for Victory campaign thing says, the irony of fighting a war for democracy abroad while suffering the injustice of racial discrimination and segregation at home was not lost on many African Americans. Seeing the war as an opportunity to strengthen their demands for equality, the NAACP, the Black Press, the National Urban League, and other organizations launched this Double V for Victory campaign. It was more feared by whites than it actually was supported by blacks.